Alikulana, buso wami, aukulana. Ilondoloze, suhambe nami. Jerusalema, ikayalami. Ilondoloze, uhambe nami. Sungangishilana. Jerusalema, ikayalami. Ilondoloze, uhambe nami. Sungangishilana. Yawuyami, alikulana. Buso wami, aukulana. Ilondoloze, suhambe nami. Yalami, ilondoloze, uhambe nami. Sungangishilana. Jerusalema, ikayalami. Ilondoloze, uhambe nami. Sungangishilana. Yawuyami, alikulana. Buso wami, aukulana. Ilondoloze. Long live the king, you know it. King already, you know it. Top everything, you know it. King already, you know it. My body so got a king body. Body gon' shine, bling bling body. Calling all the shots, ring ring body. Crown on your head, got a king body. Long live the king, you know it. King already, my baby, you know it. Top everything, you know it. King already, you know it. Shine already, it's time already. Align already, it's time already. Shine already, it's time already. Align already, it's time already. Try to stop it, Mr. No, no, no. Grab this, don't you, no, no, no. Try to stop it, Mr. Go, 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 go. Bubble up and watch it go, 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 go. Everybody on the conga, every king be stronger, king the rule them longer, remember we love, real king always be low, give a the better, I shall have people my love, it's like my ready, I say it's like my ready, it's like my ready, I say like my ready, only you got the remedy, I say you got the remedy, shine your body, shine your body. Long live the king, you know it. King already, you know it. Top everything, you know it. King already, you know it. My body so got a king body. Body gon' shine, bling bling body. Calling all the shots, ring ring body. Girl on your head, got a king body. Long live the king, you know it. King already, my baby, you everything, everything, you know it. King already, already, you know it. Shine already, it's time already. 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 It's time already, it's time already. Shine already, it's time already. It's time already, it's time already. Try to stop it, me say no, no, no. Royalty say don't you, no, no, no. Try to stop it, me say go, 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 go. Bubble up and watch it go, 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 go. Time is on my fist, my intimate jaw. Come and rest your head, take your crown off. Woke up in the phone, need to take it slow. Said I'm moving too fast, need to take it slow. Take it slow, take it slow. Trying to take my baby home. Take it slow. Remember we now. Real king always be you. Give her the brave and show your people my love. It's like my ready, I say it's like my ready. It's like my ready, I say like my ready. Only you got the remedy, I say you got the remedy. Shine your body, shine your body. The young king with the body, come move your world. Yo, 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 yo. The young king with the body, come move your world. The young king with the body, come move your world. Yo, yo, yo. The young king with the body, come move your world. Long live the king, you a king, you know it. Stop everything, everything, you know it. Show them the way, you know it, you know it, you know it. Baby, when the bright lights start to fade, fire up your lighter, float on with the waves. You make me feel like you make me feel like you make me feel. Like you want the end to spin round like a jump car tire. Endless loving and it can't expire. I will say that I never had a supplier. You know, say you are the loving baby body when you hold me. And if you call me, we go home. Baby, now let her go. Love is like a seed and you reap what you sow. Baby, when the bright lights start to fade, fire up your lighter, float on with the waves. Make me feel like you make me feel like you make me feel. Give me the fire, make you bring that home. Me need that home, me need my love. Yeah, turn on the pressure, make you get numb. I went to place it, come and know you're not wrong. This bad, but like it against the law. Light up, bright up, yes, I got me one. Grip up on my skin, I feel a car. I'm the one that see your jaw, so I tell you raw. Baby, when the bright lights start to fade, fire up your lighter, float on with the waves. You make me feel like you make me feel like you make me feel. Working on a weekend like usual. Way off in the deep end like usual. Swear they passed us, they doing too much. Haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up. Virgil got a paddock on my wrist going nuts. Caught me slipping once, okay, so what? Someone hit your block up, I tell you if it was us. Man, a house in Rosewood, it too plush. Say my day's a number, but I keep waking up. Know you see my text, baby, please say something. Wine by the glass, man, a cheapskate, huh? Gotta move on my release day, huh? This is fame, not clout. I don't even know what that's about. Watch your mouth. Baby got an ego twice the size of the crib. I can never tell it. It is what it is. Said what I had to and did what I did. Never turn my back on FBG, God forbid. Virgil got a paddock on my wrist, doing front flips. Giving you my number, but don't hit me on no dumb. Working on a weekend like usual. Way off in the deep end like usual. Swear they passed us, they doing too much. Haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up. Virgil got a paddock on my wrist going nuts. Caught me slipping once, okay, so what? Someone hit your block up, I tell you if it was us. Man, a house in Rosewood, it too plush. It's cool, man. Got red bottoms on. Life is good. You know what I mean? Like, $100,000 for the cheapest ring on the finger. I done flew one out to Spain to be in my domain, automotive. Ooh, dropped $3 on the ring, call it good evening, everyone. Okay, there's still some people rolling in. Hi, let's have a conversation. Hi, Patrina.
Hey, girl.
How are you?
I am blessed. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, just give it a couple minutes. If people still trying to get in, you guys saw the link, okay, right? Most people are saying I don't have the link, but it's there.
It took me some time to find out, like to scroll down to see the link there, because I was like, it said log in, and I created a password. I did all those things because I was 5 minutes before, and then after I looked, I couldn't get in, and then I looked down and it said, then I seen the link, the Zoom link, because I thought it was like a different kind of link. I didn't think it was Zoom.
Okay.
So it was a little bit complicated for me.
You know, Zoom would be on and popping for us. That's what we'd be doing. We'd be zooming all the time. All right, hold on. So, yeah, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yeah, you look fine.
All right. So let's get started. We had 97 people registered, and I'm like, wow, blown away. Every time I do this, I have the same reaction, even though I know that there's a need for people to be educated on how to improve their credit. Hold on, I'm trying to. There we go. Hold on. I feel like I'm looking at myself. Okay, here we go. All right, guys, I'm ready. Let's go. Welcome to For the Love of Credit Education webinar. This is something that has been laid on my heart for quite some time, and it took me a very long time to get started. But I actually started doing in-person workshops a little over a year ago. My last one being last February. Good old Facebook memories always reminds me of things that I do that I typically don't remember on my own. So it's been a year since I've done this session, and so I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad that you are here, and let's get started. Okay. Oh, I can't see like this. Hold on. All right. So as I share, if you guys feel inclined to drop any nuggets that I share on social media, please tag me. I would greatly appreciate it. You can tag me at my business page, which is Mortgages for Moms, or you can tag me on my personal page. I am Siobhan Bent on both Instagram and Twitter. And if we're friends on Facebook, my name is Siobhan Bent. Yes, tag me there too, please. And so first I want to start by saying congratulations for being here. I know that credit is a very sensitive topic for some people. And so this is kind of why I have it in the private forum where, you know, I have direct access. People have direct access, for those who are comfortable anyways, to speak to me and ask questions. I know that with credit comes either shame or, you know, boastiness, if I can say that, right? And so for most people in my community, I know that if, you know, there was a hiccup at some point, they typically don't want to talk about it, right? And so I congratulate you for coming here, because I found this quote and I thought it was very, very fitting. And this is an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And so here we're talking about credit, and you know, with credit, you're paying interest. So this is the greatest investment that you can make into yourself. And I promise I won't have you here very long. So for those who don't know me, my name is pronounced Siobhan Bent, sh with a V. There is no sh or a V, but this is the story of my life. It's an Irish Gaelic name. And I am a mom of one. There's my son, my 8-year-old son, my handful, who continuously is asking me for twins, and I don't know where I'm going to get them from for him. Our mom, oh, hold on. Okay, sorry. Text messages. Let me mute that. Mom of one, real estate investor, mortgage broker. Most of you may know me through mortgages or the mortgage as the mortgage lady. I'm also a co-author, and everything that I do personally and professionally, it's always to help women, help moms particularly, build their legacy for their children. And so how I kind of entered into this world of finance and credit, it was at an early age, I decided that I was just going to do things a little bit different. I am the eldest of 3 kids from my mom, and she had me at a very, very young age. Hold on a second. No password. Click the link. Sorry, guys. I need an assistant. At a very young age. And so I had firsthand knowledge of the struggle. And I don't even like to use terms like that, but that was our reality. She did everything that she could to make sure that the 3 of us were okay. And because I was the eldest, much more aware, much more mature than even my actual age, I just really decided that that wasn't going to be my journey. Not to knock her, not to say, she wasn't doing things right. I just knew that there had to be an easier way to do things. And so little did I know back then that I really already had the entrepreneurial spirit in me, just didn't know what it was. I started doing hair at the age of 12, 13, and I started working in a salon on Saturdays, but that just wasn't enough. I ended up doing my own thing in my mom's basement when her and her friends are going to parties. I was up until 3 o'clock doing their hair, but I didn't realize that that's really where my heart was. But, society tells us that we're supposed to go to school, get a job, and then, rely on our pension. And so that's kind of what my mom taught me to do. So I did go to school. I did get a job, but that didn't last for very long. That didn't last for very long at all. And so the next slide I'm going to share with you is a video that you may have seen on social media. Hold on. Can you guys hear that? Let me know in the chat if you can hear that.
Those days I was young and I liked to travel.
Yeah.
So when I actually decided to do it, my credit wasn't the best. And the reason for it, I co-signed for someone and they messed me up. So of course I had to lean on my daughter. So she took the help. I did the mortgage in her name, and then I filed bankruptcy, so I couldn't do nothing for 7 years. But here I am today, having all kind of credit now. I could do anything. Every minute somebody's offering me stuff. But what I would recommend, from my experience, when she got me the Capital One credit card, that built me, and here I am today. I have an excellent credit. I don't know the score. Maybe she knows, but I don't know my score. But you can build your credit.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Bunny. So I've been sharing this on social media, and trust me, I'll let you guys know when she says to me that I'm going to have to start paying her royalties. My mom is my why. Yes, I have my son. Of course, most parents say their children are their why. But that's like default. I know that I'm going to be okay, so he's going to be okay. But my mom is my why. As I mentioned earlier, that she had me at a very young age, 15. And I feel like I'm getting emotional. She had me at 15, and there's no way that you would be prepared to be a parent at 15. I don't care when that was, if it was in the 70s or even now, 2020. There's no way you could prepare to be a parent. And so she did the best that she could with what she knew. But she's very close to retirement. And so I feel like it's it would be my gift to her to make sure that I am in a position where when she retires, that if she doesn't want to work, she doesn't have to work. Can you guys hear me? Please let me know in the chat. People are saying they can't hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. There was just a dinging that was going.
I know, I don't know how to not do that.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, hold
I
on.
can hear you, Siobhan.
All right. So yes, so she didn't know, she did what she could with what she knew. And but just in seeing that, I was just like, yeah, no. And so at an early age, I decided that, it was time for me to fly the coop, and I decided that I was going to go on my own. But I knew that, again, I was going to do things differently. And so we grew up in social housing. Nobody knew that the housing, the area that we live like was like the bomb. It was like the what do you call it, Richmond Hill of social housing. Nobody really knew. You could tell that it was social housing, but I just knew that I wasn't going to be a renter, right? I didn't know anything about homeownership. I didn't know anything about even credit or anything like that. I just knew that if you rent, you're paying somebody else, but if you own, you're paying yourself. And so I decided that I was going to leave, but I was going to purchase. And I purchased my first property at the age of 23. And 2 years later, the opportunity to enter into the industry of mortgages fell in my lap, and I went head first, and I haven't looked back. This year is actually going to be my 20th year of working in the finance industry. And so what do I do as a mortgage broker? I essentially work as a middle person between you, the consumer, and the lenders. I'm independent, so I don't have, I'm not bound to any one particular institution, right? Whoops, hold on. Not bound to any, oh dear Lord, here we go. Any one institution. So what you're getting from me is an unbiased opinion based on what your needs are, what your goals are, and I would connect you with a lender that is going to match that, because no mortgage is one size fits all. And so when you're working with me, you have options. As a mortgage broker, I have access to different banks. I have access to trust companies, mortgage investment companies, private lenders, you name it. Versus working with the bank can only offer you what they have, right? And the second thing is that when you're working with a broker, me, of course, whether you're ready right now or you plan to be ready in the next 2 to 3 years, I will work with you throughout the entire process. And so typically when you go to the bank and if you don't qualify right now, they say to you, come back to me when you think you're ready. And so that's the bonus of working with a mortgage broker, aka me. And so my life's purpose, it kind of evolved through my career, right? So as I said, I've been doing this for 20 years. And so my purpose is based off of this biblical scripture, Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. Oh, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And that's just a part of the verse. But I know that even for my mom's journey, she wasn't educated in finance. She wasn't educated in so many different things. She had to figure it out on her own. And so after I had experienced what real estate could actually do, and when I say that, like, your money grows, it's magic, I knew that I had to do more. Yes, it's a career. Yes, it's kind of like a job. I work for money, but the education part of it needed to reach the masses. And so you may have found me through Mortgages for Moms. And so that is my heart passion, my passion project, my purpose project. I created that community after having my son, who's 8, because again, my own example, and now for myself, it was no longer about me. It was about making sure that I position him to be great or position him financially so that he can be greater than I was and that my mom was. And so Mortgages for Moms, the mission is to educate and empower you with financial literacy, resources, and opportunities. The opportunity part is huge. I'm working on so many things that will help you to build a solid financial blueprint for your family's legacy. There's many ways that you can build a legacy. There's many ways that you can invest your money, but there's something about investing in real estate. And so you get the security that I don't believe you get in any other vehicle. Yes, you get security, but the security that you get when investing in real estate, I don't think that is possible. I may be biased, but you know. So today's talk is titled For the Love of Credit. And I mean, it's Love Month, but the truth is, many clients that I speak with, who have credit issues, it's almost as if they've lost hope. So my hope is that the conversation today, which I hope it to be a conversation, I don't want you just sitting there listening to me. The conversation today is to help you understand how to use credit effectively so that you can use it as a wealth building tool, right? And my hope is that you'll fall back in love with your credit. I don't know if this is my quote, but this came to mind, so I'll own it. Cash may be king, because I know we've grown up hearing cash is king, cash is king. But the truth is that credit actually gives you power. And so if you have the education and the knowledge, then you can leverage your power and create wealth for your family. So this is the interactive part. I'm open to hearing from a few people. I want to hear what your credit story is. I know that my credit story, nobody taught me about credit, right? As I said, my mom raised me to say, go to school, get a job, worry about and then you can live off your pension. So when I did that, I went to school. The first thing that happened in my first week of college was you saw students or credit vendors at tables offering you credit cards without an explanation of, what happens, what gets reported, how you have to pay it. So of course I took it, right? Used it, figured it out along the way. But I'm interested to hear, like, what was your story? Like, were you taught about credit, or did you kind of like just figure it out on your own? Interactive.
I don't know. So I'll start off. It's Malaysia.
Hi, Malaysia.
Hi. So when I turned 18, I actually left my mom's house the same day I turned 18. And then I had went to the shelter, and then I just needed some money. I needed a phone, and I realized I was just eligible for all these things, and I had no money coming in. Actually, I was working at McDonald's at the time. So it's like I quit 2 weeks after, and even when they were paying me, it wasn't much either. Right. So here I am with a bunch of phone bills. So every time the next bill was due, I would just go out and take out another phone, And from there, I just ended up messing up my credit. And then one day in 2015, I paid off my credit card, but it still wasn't good enough. And I was just confused for a very long time. And I still am kind of, so, and my credit score is still pretty bad.
All right.
And yeah, and then after last year, I also took out OSAP. So yeah.
That's it. OSAP is it's like a blessing and a curse, right? Because if you think about it, as soon as we become adults, technically 18, and we're off to school, most of our parents weren't prepared to pay for our education. So here we go. We take OSAP, which is credit, right? They don't give us an explanation on how long we're going to have to pay it. They don't have those conversations. So essentially, we're introduced to adulthood with debt. And so I'm just going to read a few comments. Thank you for sharing, Malaysia.
Okay.
So a lot of never taught, learned the hard way, definitely had to figure it out on my own. Thank you. 20 years. Yes, in July makes 20 years. I've been a mortgage broker. Ola says, was never taught about credit, learned from making mistakes and correcting them. Most of us, right? Nikisha says, my parents, to no fault of their own, exactly, didn't teach me anything. A lot of black tax, taking my money, but not explaining why or even investing. I learned about credit 3 years ago. And even then, what I know now, I didn't know then. Very, very familiar story. For not just us, I'm like, as I said, in my years of doing mortgages and having to, talk to people about their credit, it's a very, very, very common story. So I'm glad you're here, and we're going to correct that. So I found this explanation of what credit is. And so it's one thing to just know how to use it, but what is the true purpose of credit? The use of credit is based on the assumption that our future resources are going to be far greater than our present resources. The use of credit is based on the assumption that our future resources are going to be far greater than our present resources, i.e., student loans. They give us the student loans very easily because after school, we're supposed to get a job. so that we can repay it. Correct? Yes or no? But what happened? I know when I finished, I went to school with the hope of becoming an immigration officer. When I finished school, they had put a hold on hiring. So that idea went out the door. So what happened to my student loans? So I had to buy and get other jobs in other things because I now have responsibility. So I have to pay it. But when you borrow money, why are people not able to get in? Hold on a second. Sorry, guys.
That was probably me. I'm in now.
No, somebody else actually.
Oh,
Hi, Shantae. Nice to see you.
hi.
Oh, you're Shantae Siobhan, aren't you?
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So when we borrow money, it should be used to grow our personal assets, i.e. real estate, right? Or position you to put it into a business so that you can spread the wealth, right? Hire people and grow your business. Most people aren't doing that, right? So I'm going to ask you a question. Are you using credit to build wealth? It's a hypothetical question, but if you feel like answering, please go ahead. Patrina said, got scared straight and never used a credit card again. It's been over 5 years. Wow, Patrina, you can't do that. You got to learn how to use it and then use it effectively.
If I
Tanisha
can
says,
comment.
yes.
Sorry, Siobhan, you were going to say something. You're going to read something.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I was saying perspective. For me, as a single mom, back in the days, right? I'm friends of your mom.
Yes.
And for me, it wasn't that credit was that statement or that definition is powerful. Because had I looked at credit in that way, that would have shifted my whole view of the purpose of credit.
Absolutely.
So back then, credit was money you didn't have, but now you had money, you could do anything you wanted to do.
That's right. An extension of your income. You go on vacations, you buy the shoes, you buy the bags.
Correct.
We're all guilty of it. I used to do it too.
Yeah.
Right? And so going into what I'm going to share now, hold on, let me see what else. Nikisha's not at the moment. Haven't looked at credit to build wealth, still navigating. Great, but you're still on the journey. Dania says that's her aim. Awesome. Alicia says, I would get scared to go into debt, but I would make it my main source of payment and pay it as soon as I use it. That's a great way to use it. You can use it. So the thing is, and I'll touch on it a little bit later, we still need credit, right? We still need credit more now than before. And so Statistics Canada reported that the credit market debt totals $2.3 trillion at the end of 2019. Of that, 1.53 trillion is in mortgage debt, which is used for the purpose of credit, right? But then it's the other number that really, really hurts me and scares me too, is 802 billion is in consumer debt and non-mortgage loans. So those are the vacations. Those are the car repairs, the emergency car repairs. Those are, the Jordans, all of those things that not necessarily are needed, right? They're wants, and I'm not bashing anybody. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing anybody. But what happens is people are using credit as an extension of their income. Hence why the average Canadian owes $1.71 for every dollar of their disposable income. And so what that means is they're spending more than they make. And where's that coming from? It's coming from credit. Keeping up with the Jacksons. That's right, Nikki. You got it, right? But it's not their fault because no one has ever said, this is how you use credit. They still don't do that because what? Credit is a money-making tool. And if you think about the wealthy, they utilize it, but they utilize it for those things to create their own wealth. They leverage it. So what is credit? In a nutshell, it's broken up into two different things, really. Your report is what houses all the information, but your credit history tracks the way you've handled credit in the past and currently. And your credit score is basically your grade, right? It puts all the information that's on your credit into the system and it spits out a score. So I like to say that your credit history is your adult report card and your score is like your grade. So if you were to grade yourself today, what grade would you give yourself? Hypothetical question. Nobody got to answer. I got to close the chat. So let me address a couple myths. I know there's probably hundreds, but these are the first few that I thought of. First one, you don't need to carry a credit balance to build credit. No, you need to carry a credit balance to build credit. And the truth is you don't. I think somebody just said it. Let me see. Alicia, right? She uses credit as her main source because there's a lot of incentives out there for you to utilize credit, right? Air Miles, Aeroplan, all those things. You can use it. But again, when you're not using it as an extension of your credit, you can leverage your credit to get the free points, right? So as long as you're using it and paying it, you're still building your credit. All credit reports and credit scores are the same. That is a myth. Here in Canada, we have two credit reporting agencies. We've got TransUnion and we've got Equifax. And both are independent companies that report pretty much the same information differently. They've got different algorithm systems. The companies that report to them give them different information. So you may find that, you pull your TransUnion report and then you pull your Equifax report and there's a vast difference between the scores, right? Anybody experience that? Most people that I speak to say their TransUnion is super high and then they pull their Equifax and they're like shocked. Oh my God, what happened? Equifax holds on to information a little bit longer, right? And so as a mortgage broker, that's what we use. We use Equifax. Checking my credit will affect my score. There's a catch-22, right? So if you're a credit shopper, let's say you're looking for a particular item, a vehicle, and you go to, Joe's Auto Mart, and then you go to Honda, and then you go to, and you do all of this in a short period of time. Every time you go and apply to see if you can get the best deal, that company is going to pull your credit. Because they have to pull your credit. If you're applying for a loan, they have to pull your credit. And so that's considered a hard hit. And so if you're doing that, yes, that can definitely affect your score. A soft hit is like if you pull it yourself, which I'll share with you a little bit later on how you can do that. If you pull it yourself, or if you are shopping for a mortgage, there is grace within the system. So the system somehow knows that you're shopping for a mortgage. So if you go to the green bank or if you go to the blue bank and you go to the red bank, but you do it in a short period of time, I think it's 27 or 28 days, that's only considered one pull, one hit, right? And that would be the hard hit. But if the subsequent hits would be considered soft, so it wouldn't affect your score any further. But if you come to me for your mortgage, which I hope you all will, I only have to pull your credit once. And any lender that I submit your application to, they get that same copy of the report. All right. Having no credit is good credit. That is not true. Because at some point when you are applying for something, what they want to see is how do you manage your debt? What is your relationship like with your debt? And so if you don't have any credit, there's nothing for them to score you on. I was told step 4. No credit is good credit. You were told that, Dejana? Old school people.
Yes, I was told that. And then I didn't know that I had to build the credit.
Yes.
So I was stagnant for a while. And I'm like, why isn't my credit moving?
Mm-hmm. Yes. The old school thought is, you pay with cash. And I said that earlier, cash is king. Sure. But for some things, especially now, like the littlest thing, somebody's pulling your credit because they want to see what your history is like. And so in order to do that, you got to use it, right? Paying off or settling derogatory debts, trades will remove it. It should, right? For example, if you had a debt that went to collections and it showed on your credit bureau and you've now since settled it and paid it, it is the onus of that company to report to the agency that you've paid the debt and is now zero. But in my experience, that always doesn't happen. So because it's your credit, I always encourage my clients to make sure that you take onus. And if you know that you've paid it, you lay pressure on them. You make sure you follow up with them. You get it in writing that they received the payment, and that it has been reported to the bureau to reflect the current state. And you can also contact the bureaus yourself and send them proof to make sure that it gets updated. Bankruptcy permanently ruins your credit. That's also a myth. Yes, when you do claim bankruptcy, it does remain on your credit for 7 years, and it will make it a little difficult for you to get further credit. But after the 7 years, anything inactive will organically purge itself. So you do have the opportunity after bankruptcy to start rebuilding yourself. And so last one, consumer proposal is better than a bankruptcy. In the technical sense, it is morally and ethically, because if you have accumulated a certain amount of debt, it is your responsibility to repay it. But for whatever reason, life happens and maybe you're not able to, or you can't afford the amount of debt. What a consumer proposal will do is a company will work on your behalf to negotiate your balances so that you're able to pay a lower amount and save on some interest. The bankruptcy now is if, based on your income bracket, you have to actually qualify for bankruptcy. And if you do, it technically wipes out all of your debt. So that's the difference. But from a mortgage perspective, they're actually viewed the same, right? In the lender's eyes, you just couldn't pay your debts, to keep it simple. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. I keep trying to change. How can your credit score go down if you made all the payments on time? Nothing in collections, just randomly looked, and mine went down points. Mine was 725, now it's 718. I'm so confused. Okay, I'll go into that a little bit later. There's a lot of moving parts. So even if you haven't made the actual, made a difference in terms of making a late payment or anything like that, there's still different things that are reporting that could affect that. All right. So why do we need good credit? And I use good just because it's usually good or bad. But usually when I'm talking to clients, they're like, oh, my credit's bad. Oh, my credit's great. Kind of tongue dance. We need credit for everything. Everything. Of course, if you're trying to buy a house and you need a mortgage, if you're planning to invest, some companies are pulling your credit. And some employers, before they hire you, for myself, as a mortgage broker, they pull our credit, right? If you want to work with a bank, I know they pull their credit too. If you're going for a promotion, depending on the type of industry you're in, they may want to pull your credit. If you're starting a business and you're looking for a business loan, or you're trying to build business credit, they're going to pull your credit. Student loans, now it may be a little bit different. But back then they didn't really pull your credit to say whether you are approved or not, because you kind of got, your parents would guarantee the loan. But now it may be a little bit different. If you're buying or leasing a car, cell phones, the one I love the most, they pull your credit. They may not necessarily not give you a phone, but they may ask you for a deposit. So, the better your credit is, you may not have to pay a deposit. Auto and home insurance, I've heard that they've also been pulling credit. And of course, if you're renting, even landlords want to see your credit these days. So credit is essential, right? So the better your credit, the better options you have. Now, there's a few different scales. I just found this one because it's closest to ours. But in Canada, our credit scores range from anywhere from 300 to 900. In my 20 years, I've never seen a 900, but I've seen 888. And I've never seen a 300 either, but I've seen close to it. In the mortgage world, 680 is kind of like the magic number. Anything above that is lenders kind of they're happy about that. Hold on, there's a couple comments. Thank you, Nikisha. Keisha says, if you pay off credit card and cancel it, will it affect your credit score negatively? It definitely can, depending on how old the credit account was, and I'll cover that in the next slide. Shantae's asking, after consumer proposal is paid off, is there a way to get it removed before the 3 years? No, you have to wait till it falls off. Let's address the myths. Delivered. Thank you. You're welcome. Oh, we still got people coming in. So the higher, the better. It doesn't say if you have a lower score that you won't be able to attain any forms of credit. It just will cost you more. So you have companies out there for various different things, for example, car loans or even private loans. In with respect to mortgages too, your credit doesn't have to be stellar, but it's going to cost you, right? And the whole idea of credit is, you know, again, to leverage it so that you're building your positive assets. So you want to save on interest. So the better your credit, the lower your interest rate, the lower the loan will cost you. All right. And so what makes up your credit score? And I know we talk a lot about score. I just want you all to also know, and I think I'll share it in the next slide, that your score is not the only thing, but these are the things that make up the score. So your payment history is the biggest part of it. You got to make sure that you're making those payments on time, right? It records on 30, 60 day increments. Anything beyond that, you know, anything beyond 30 days typically will affect it, but you'll see that it tracks it based on 30, 60 days. Any outstanding debt. So your utilization, the magic number is 30 to 50%. So if you have a credit card that is $10,000 line of credit, available credit, you want to try to keep your balances no more than $3,000. That's not the norm. But when you are looking for credit, that's best, right? Because what's going to happen is that will help to boost your score. So I keep checking the chat. I have to check mine again. It's been over 8 months since I've checked it. It's almost at 7 the last time I checked. Great. Congratulations, Abina. Petrina says, are you still considered to have good credit after an R9? I have a score of 700. If the R9 is still there, you're going to have to give an explanation. So it's usually best that you wait till it falls off before you apply for any further credit. Credit history. So the person who asked about, you know, closing an account. So the longer history that you have, the better for your overall scoring. Although it's only 15%, it does make a difference. For the mortgage world, we're looking for at minimum 2 years of established credit. But even people with 2 years, it depends on how, like, that's really a short period of time to judge you or assess you. Maybe not say judge, but they do judge you. Assess you. So the longer, the better. If you have a card that, let's say, is like 10 years old, it's better to keep it. If you're not going to use it, just make sure that there's no annual fees that's going to cost you just to have it. But you don't want to close an account that has a long history because it will affect your score. The pursuit for credit. So are you a credit shopper? I mentioned this earlier. The more credit that you're looking for, that also affects your credit. And then the types of credit. Major credit cards are usually best. Store cards are usually high interest, so avoid them if you can. Loans, lines of credit, and then car loans. And so this is the part that I really want you to take away, is that your credit score does not define you. Society has trained us to think the higher the score, the better we are. No, that's not true. It has nothing to do with who we are as a character. Things happen, right? And as a result, sometimes, you know, your credit is going to be the last thing that you're thinking about when life happens. And so what I want you to understand is that your credit score is just another way for the lender to look at you and determine whether they're going to give you debt and how much more debt they're going to give you. So your credit score is an assessment of your relationship with debt. And so as I mentioned, life happens. And so not because something happens in your credit may have been impacted, does that speak to who you are as a person. All right. The truth is, if we have no debt and are at peace with our finances, your credit score won't even matter. Right? It won't even matter. But in the interim, do what you can to make sure that you are making sure that it is as high as it can be, because most of us here are still in need of utilizing credit. All right. So we got a chat. What is R9? R9 is so every month that you have every time you have an account, a credit account, whether it be a Visa card, MasterCard, they report to the credit bureau agency on a monthly basis. So if you make your payment, the minimum payment before the due date, you would be reported as R1, meaning your payments are in good standing. You're paying as agreed. If you've paid past 30 days and it's been reported, you will report R2, and so forth and so forth. So R9 is the last, and that's typically after you haven't paid it for several months and the account has now gone to collections. Keisha says, I'm paying off my car loan in June. Will my credit score drop or go up? It could go up, but it depends on all of the moving pieces. So that chart that I just showed, where it says your payment history, how much your utilization. So your car loan may be paid off, but you may have, let's say, 2 other credit cards that are maxed out, right? So it really depends on the whole picture, not just one piece. And so has anybody heard about the rule of 72? Nikisha, you can't answer. Anyone hear about the rule of 72?
I did.
Yay. So this is the bank's secret. This is what the bank doesn't want us to know. The rule of 72 is an estimate of how quickly or how many number of years it would take for your money to double, right? So we're talking about investing. And so if you have, let's say, $10,000 and you put it in a savings account, let's say a GIC, what the bank encourages, what is the rate of return that they're going to offer you? Is anybody familiar with that? And what a GIC is, a guaranteed investment certificate. So they promise to give you a certain amount of interest on your money if you leave it with them. Nobody's heard about
So doesn't it, the GIC, doesn't it all depend on the amount, how long you have it there for, the term?
Right. So whatever
Like,
the term is fixed. So if they say for 5 years, they offer you 3%.
Yeah, I just called the bank the other day to inquire about that. And my girls tell me if I put in like $2,000 in like 2 years, I'll make $5 on it. I was like, why am I putting my money in that then? That don't make no damn sense to me.
Because they want your $2,000 so that they can lend it back to you on a credit card.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, no.
Yes,
You want to use my money for your benefit and I get nothing? 2 years for $5? I could have put more money in the bank than $5. Thank you. It's okay.
Welcome to the world of banking, Abina.
Yeah. I don't like it. Them teeth.
Hence, this is why we're here, guys. This is why we're here. This is why we're here. Hold on. A few people are still rolling in.
So what do you think about GIC accounts, Siobhan?
I feel that there's other ways that you can grow your money, so you should do your research. But I also believe that you should diversify your investments. So you can have some money in a GIC, but don't put all your money in a GIC. All right. So I can't see my quote, but it says, can you guys see it? It says Albert Einstein. This is who this guy is, this, young fella. And he said, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. I'm doing this off memory. He who knows it. Can somebody read the bottom? I can't see it. He who knows it.
He who understands it, earns it. He who, you switched the slide.
Go ahead.
He who doesn't pays it. So
right.
He who understands it, earns it. He who doesn't pays it.
All right. So think about what your conversation that you just said, Abina. If you put your $2,000 in a GIC.
Exactly.
So who knows this? Who knows about the rule of 72? The banking system, right? The financial industry. And so here's a visual. So you take that same $10,000 and if you invest it into a vehicle that's going to give you 12%, how many years will it take for your money to double?
6.
Right. You put in that $2,000 and in 5 years, 2 years, they're going to give you $5. So
yeah,
you take.
So she said 128 days or 2 years. I was like,
So you take this number 72 and divide it by the interest rate, and that'll tell you how many years it'll take for your money to double. So I want you to, as I just explained to you, the banking industry, the financial industry has known this for years, and this is where they've made their money. Because what they'll do is they'll say, yes, give me your $10,000. I'll put it in a GIC for 5 years and give you 3%. Mind you, inflation is almost past that, so you're in a negative, right? we'll give you 3%, but we're going to also offer you maybe 3, 4, 5 months from now, we'll offer you a line of credit or a credit card and charge you 18, 19, 21%. Who's making the money? They're using your money to lend it back to you and then investing it in the markets to make the returns. So my hope is that we will learn through education that we should take back control of our money. Some people are still coming in. Awesome. So how will we do that? We will do that by creating a plan, right? Carrying debt purposefully for a period of time, and as long as you're understanding, you know, what the return is. I'm not saying no to debt, but it's the consumer debt that I'm really, really harping on. And so the first thing is to stop creating more debt. You got to create a strategy, right? And so by doing that, how do you do that? You review your budget, set a goal date, and then make sure that you're not stretching yourself too thin, but your goal is to eliminate as much of your debt as possible, right? You can decide which debts to pay off first. There's two methods that are two popular methods. You have the avalanche method or the snowball effect, which I prefer the snowball, but the difference between the two is with the avalanche method. Let's say you have 5 credit accounts. You would choose, or you would identify which of those accounts charges the highest interest rate, i.e. a store card, 29, I think, is the brick still open? 29% back then, I think that's what they charge, right? So your goal would be to pay off the debt that has the highest interest. So hold on. Oops, more people are coming in. 1 second, guys. Your goal would be to pay off the debt with the highest interest so that you're saving interest dollars. And then as you pay that down, you move on to the next one. The snowball effect, why I prefer it is because we're psychological beings. We're emotional beings. Most of us spend or have spent based on emotions, right? We feel for a pair of new shoes, or we, you know, that type of thing. So with the snowball effect, it's kind of in the reverse. So again, you're going to organize your debts, smallest to largest, and each of the debts, you're going to make your monthly payments, of course, right? Even in the avalanche method. But you're going to start with the smallest debt, and you're going to pay that one aggressively. You're going to pay a little bit extra so that you pay that off faster. And so once you've paid that one off, right, you're going to roll over what you were paying on that debt onto the next one. And so now you've had 4 debts that you're paying off, but you've now doubled the payments on the second one, and you go forth, right? And so that, once it's almost like you feel gratification, instant gratification, because you know, yeah, you feel accomplished. You've paid off a debt and you're working on the next one. You can work with your creditors to help reduce your debts. Contact your credit companies and negotiate. Hold on. Does the same rule apply for RRSP? The rule
I think
of
the person's
72?
talking about too. I think they're talking about the rule of 72.
Rule of 72? Yes. Yes, it does. Because wherever you invest your money, they're investing your money. So yes, it does. So you can invest it. It's just when you are investing, you got to make sure that the investment that you're putting your money in, it's giving you, you're sharing that profit equally. All right. So yes, you can contact your credit companies and you can negotiate. You can use your head, you know, saying XYZ lender is offering me a credit card at 0.5% and see. You may not always win, but we're always worth a shot. And I learned that from what's her name? Gail. Everybody know Gail? What's her name? Gail Vox Oxalate or something like that.
Yes.
Until death do us apart.
Until death do us part. Call the company. I was like, I didn't know that until I seen that on her show. Yeah, call them, right? Because ultimately they don't want to lose your business, right? So they're not going to say no. They're not going to charge any interest, but you could haggle and get some savings. Seek counsel from a financial coach, aka me, and start finding ways to make your money work for you, right? Make more money. This one I love. We're in the midst of a pandemic, guys, right? And if no other time, now was a time that we realized that having one income is definitely not enough. It's too close to being broke, right? Or to being unemployed. But tapping into your gifts, I love to say everybody has a gift. Find a space on the internet, find a space online and leverage it. Or tap into some other company that's created a system that gives you the opportunity to earn some extra money. And if you guys know me on social media, you know I also have a home-based business in the health and wellness industry that has been very fruitful over the pandemic, right? And I do it from home. I do it from my cell phone, right? I have fun. It doesn't even feel like work, right? So find a way to make extra money. It's imperative. And I think number 7 says, commit to the process. Everybody's journey is going to be unique. So it doesn't matter if, you know, your friend, your sister, the neighbor, you know, you see that they've strived a lot faster than you. It doesn't matter. Just whatever your goal is, stick to it. And I can assure you that you will accomplish it. Just be committed. And so in order to do all of that, right, you got to know where you stand. You got to check your credit regularly, right? And so as I mentioned earlier, we have 2 credit reporting agencies, Equifax and TransUnion, who you can contact. You can get a free copy of your report every year. But since the last, I would say 4 or 5 years, there's been alternate companies that have, you know, come out of the woodwork and are offering our credit reports for free. Now, there's a caveat. There's Borrowell, there's Credit Karma. Mogo, I haven't used it personally, but I've heard about it. Borrowell and Mogo, they pull their Equifax credit bureau, and Credit Karma pulls the TransUnion. It's free of charge. It's considered a soft hit, so you can pull it yourself. It's not going to affect you. The information isn't 100% accurate in the sense where it's a little dated. So you may get the report today or pull it today, and it may be 30 or 45 days old. But it definitely will give you a good indicator as to the track that you're on. And if there's anything that is inaccurate, you will definitely see it. All right. Let me check the chat again. Tanisha says, is making payments on time and regularly the way to rebuilding your credit? That is definitely one of the ways to rebuilding your credit. But using your credit. A tip is that you can, although you are required to make a payment once a month, you can make multiple payments. Don't just wait till the once a month, especially if you're trying to build. Giving the system more activity will also help to build your credit a little faster. Bina says, so does that mean the rule of 72 does not apply to TFSA? It absolutely does. TFSA is just a name of the account. What an actual TFSA is, it's an investment account, right? So it's called a TFSA, but where you're putting your money is actually an investment. And so when you save your money in the investment, it's being lent at, you know, in the markets. Have the app Borrowell. It is amazing. It is. It's free. You know, they send you monthly updates. I think Credit Karma does it as well. Sends you monthly updates. It tells you if you pull your credit, you'll get a notification. So it's definitely a very useful way to stay on top of your credit. Yes, Ingrid said it's very helpful as well. Awesome. I love this. So here are some tips to get yourself in good credit standing and to stay in good credit standing. As somebody just said, pay your bills on time. Pay all of your bills on time, not sometimes, not when you feel like it, not when you remember. Every bill, every month, you must pay at least the minimum payment every month. And I encourage you to actually pay it not by the due date, but at least 3 to 5 days before the due date. Because let's say, for example, you're paying your bill through the blue bank, but it needs to get transported to the green bank. You want to make sure that there's that delivery time that's accounted for, right? Because you never really know when the credit institution that you have the account with is reporting to the bureau. Some report in the beginning of the month, some report in the middle, and some report at the end, but you'll never know. So you always make sure that you're paying your bills on time, including your cell phones. Listen, Cell phones, I don't know who told them that it was okay for them to report credit cell phone bills on your credit bureau. But if you didn't know, they do. Not only do they pull your credit, but they do report your monthly bill on your credit report. And what is required, unlike a credit card bill where you can pay the minimum payment, your full amount of your credit card bill is due every single month. So if you're not paying your full bill, it could affect your score. It could affect your ratios if you're not paying your cell bill in entirety every single month on time. Get all derogatory and incorrect information removed. This again is very helpful if you are keeping on top of your credit, because anything that's incorrect, like for example, if you've paid that bill and you know that you've paid it, you have confirmation, but it hasn't been updated, you got to make sure that it's taken care of so that the system is allowed to do what it needs to do with correct information. Using only a small portion of your credit limits, and I mentioned this earlier with respect to utilization, keeping your balances low is very, very, very key if you're trying to build your credit and increase your credit score. Get a secured card, right? If you're trying to rebuild your credit, for example, I think it was Dejana that said she didn't know she didn't need to, or she was told not to have credit. You got to have credit, whether you're starting or you're rebuilding. Getting a secured card is a very, very useful way to build your credit. And you heard my mom say it after her bankruptcy. I didn't even ask her about the Capital One. I filled it out. Yes, I signed her name. Okay, she knows it and she's okay with that. I got her the secured card and I used it to help build her credit. And then once things started to move along, I then moved it on to her so that she could use it. Hold on, there's chat. This has been super informative. Have to leave. All right, thank you, Leah. Really good suggestion. You're welcome. It is 25% that you use.
Is it 25% of the credit that you're supposed to only use? Like say, for example, if you have $1,000, $1,000 limit, you're only supposed to use $250 as having a balance on it. That's what I meant. If you have a balance on it.
30% is the fair number, is the number, right? Not to say, majority of people use more, but it's really imperative. Like if you're at the time that you're trying to apply for credit, this is when you want to make sure these things are in order. So with respect to mortgages, you got to make sure that your balances are low because it's factored into your affordability. And if all of your debts are maxed out and you're now applying for additional debt, a mortgage, the lenders could be a little bit leery in lending to you. So 30% is the magic number. Anything lower is obviously better.
I've never even heard of that. It's the first time hearing that.
Of utilization?
Yeah. On a credit card? I've never heard of that. Again, because perhaps coming from that old school where the credit card was cash.
Yeah.
You didn't have and you can use it for whatever, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you're saying that it's best to have a 30% balance on your card at all times?
Yes.
30% of the total amount of the card?
Yes.
Wow.
If you're going to use it, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Marsha's asking, how far in advance do they look at utilization? They look at it right away. As soon as they're looking at your credit, once they pull it, they see what your limit is and they see what your balance is. They see it right away. Get a credit builder.
Question.
Yep. Go ahead.
You're saying 30% is best to have left back on your credit card for payment?
Do not exceed 30% of the limit. So if you have $1,000 credit card, you want to keep your balances below 300.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay.
All right. Is there a history of it on your report? No, if you use your credit up and down regularly, it'll just shows how long you've had the account, but at the time of application that you're applying for something, they're going to see what it is at that moment. So within 30 days of the last reporting. So if let's say you know that you are closing, and I'm a mortgage broker. I'm always going to talk about homes. You know that you're closing March 31st and you've made some purchases between February 1st and March 1st, you want to make sure that you pay it off a lot sooner, because you have to also give the opportunity for the credit agencies to report the payment that you made before your closing date. Was that clear? I no longer have any credit cards, but I'm rebuilding my credit with a loan from a loan shark check cashing places. Yeah. What's your thought on those types? Avoid them like the plague. Those credit places are designed to keep you in a hole. So if you're in it, try your best to pay it off as soon as possible. If you can pay it faster than what the actual term is, I would do that. And then secondly, the interest rates on those are ridiculous. Equifax has a 30-day free trial, which includes your credit score. I used it and canceled it within 30 days. Yes, that's cool. The thing with those things, though, sometimes people forget and then they end up paying for credit monitoring and they don't really need to. When I was shopping around for a car, I took that and showed them as opposed to them pulling my credit each time. That's great that they looked at it. But if you were coming to me for a mortgage, I couldn't do an application for you until I pulled your credit myself. But if there is a place, for example, if you are renting a place, most times you can pull your own credit and they can use that. But an actual company that is going to extend credit will still need to pull your report themselves. So back to the tips. Get a credit builder loan or secured loan. This will help you to build your credit if you're trying to improve. RSP loans are something that gets registered to your credit. So for those who, I think if you follow me on social, today's what day? Today's the 25th. You've got 3 days to leverage your contribution room. So if you wanted to invest or make an RRP contribution, you have so until March 1st for 2020's year. Become an authorized user as someone's account. So yes, if you are trying to build, this is okay. So 6 and 7 kind of are contradictory, but if you have a loved one who trusts you enough to put you on their account as you're building your credit, then great, do that. Number 7 says avoid cosigners like the plague. It's something that you have to be very cautious of, because if you co-sign for somebody, even though you know that they're working and they're going to pay for it, and it'll affect you if they don't, period, point blank. And so if you can avoid it, because it could cause issues in the future. And I got 2 number 7. So number 8 is apply for credit only when you need it. So is there anyone here that has gone to the bank, has a relationship with the bank, has an existing credit card with account, and they say, oh, you've been approved for a limit increase? Anybody? Shell building credit, line of credit versus, hold on. Building credit, line of credit versus credit card, your thoughts? They work the same way. Line of credit is cheaper with respect to interest typically, but they're harder to get. So if you have one, use it. Janice says, I noticed a hard hit on my credit that I never applied for. I tried to get it off for 3 years now and no luck with the creditor. What should I do? Why did they, what type of company was it? If you don't mind me asking. Inquiries are really hard to get removed because once they pull your credit, there's really nothing that they can do. Yes. So these yeses are, you guys have been offered credit increases, correct? Why? Rule of 72, right? But if you don't need it, you don't have to accept it, and it doesn't do anything to your credit, right? It's just basically saying that, oh yes, we've pulled your credit, we've done a soft credit check, and we see that you're paying your bills. Let's give you a little bit more. But why? I didn't ask for it. So if you don't need it, do not accept it, please. Yes, when my credit was good. It was a credit card. See, the thing is with credit cards, even like with bank accounts, there's always fine print. And so, for example, with credit cards, Like for example, in that I just shared, that, you know, if you go to the bank and they offer you a credit increase, it's because they pulled your credit. Because in the fine print, it says that once you have a credit facility with them, that they can go in and check your credit. A soft credit check. They actually didn't offer, they just upped it, my line of credit from 10. I wasn't pleased. Yeah. Well, you can always refuse it. Always. And in some ways, I'm not saying never take it. Some ways it's helpful, because going back to utilization, let's say, again, you're trying to purchase and you're close to your limit, and for whatever reason, they offered you a credit increase. If you increased your credit, but didn't increase the balance, your utilization would then drop, right? So if you had 10,000 and your balance was 8,000, you're at 80% usage. So they now increased it to 20,000. Your utilization has dropped, right? You're no longer at 80%. You're dropped at like what, 40%, right? So in some cases, it could be beneficial, but if you really don't need it, then don't take it. All right. I paid it off. It was balanced at 0. Yeah, exactly. Because they want to make money off of you. That's their strategy. Whenever they increase your credits, because they want to make more money off of you. They see that you're a good candidate, you're responsible. Let's bump up the credit. So, guidelines for a mortgage. So if you're trying to get a mortgage, or planning to get a mortgage, or have a desire to get a mortgage, this is what lenders are typically looking for. A credit score of 680 and above. That does not mean that you cannot get a mortgage if you have a credit score less than that. Options are just a little bit different. But you can definitely still get a credit score. 650 is kind of like, in this market, a little bit of a cutoff. Anything less than that, we're looking at alternate lenders. Minimum 2 to 3 years of established credit. The longer, the better. 2 active trades. So if you just I have clients who, I don't want any credit. I just have 1 credit card. With respect to a mortgage, it's not enough. They want to see at least 2 active trades with a minimum limit of $3,000 to $5,000. So having a credit card with $500 won't cut it. You gotta up the limit in that case. Bankruptcy and consumer proposal. If you've had that does not mean that you will not qualify for a mortgage. You definitely can still. It may cost you a little bit different. The expectation is also a little bit higher. You have to have 2 years through traditional lending, 2 years of reestablished credit, and you will have to have a minimum of 10% down payment. If you are looking for alternative lending, then you can get a mortgage the next day of being discharged from bankruptcy. But you will have to have at minimum 20%, and then we can go to alternative lenders. So how can I help you? Yes, I can get you a mortgage. I can help you to buy a house, but more importantly, my goal is to help you build your financial house. And so there's many things that I do in my service. I help with, budgeting. We talked a lot about debt elimination, retirement planning, any other type of financial goals, wills, life insurance. I can help you with all of that. All right. We got to build some legacies. And so as a complimentary gift to you for taking the time, what time is it? Ooh, good on time. I'm taking the time to spend with me to have this credit conversation. I do hope you found value. I'm offering anyone who would like to have a conversation, one-on-one conversation with me, a free 30-minute discussion. I'll just ask that you pull your own credit report so that we can have that conversation, and you just go to this link and complete your form, and then I will schedule a call with you. Sounds like I got a question. Do I have a question?
It's dangerous. I think we're
no question? Okay, Patrina says, I was told that an Interac Visa is not considered a credit card. It isn't. It's because it does not report to the credit reporting agency. That's only from your bank account. It's pulling money out of your bank account. All right, Dejana. Yes, guys, there's the link. Maybe I should try.
Can somebody put their phone on mute? It's on mute.
Right, let me put the link in. I'm not sure if this will. bit.ly/. There, I just dropped the link in the chat. I hope it works. If not, feel free to send me a message and I can send it to you.
Question.
Oh, yep, go ahead.
How many times per year, or I guess period, do you recommend us pulling our credit to check it?
At minimum, once per year. You can contact any of the agencies and get a free report. But if you use one of those free agencies that I mentioned, the Borrowwell or the Credit Karma, you can get a report every month. You can get an update every month without any effect to your credit. But at minimum,
Yes, but are those as accurate as if it is that you go to Equifax itself?
they are not 100% accurate. No.
Okay, so for us to come to you, you would need accuracy.
For us to have the conversation, I'm okay with the Borrowwell. We can go with the Borrowwell. And why I say Borrowwell, because Borrowwell pulls your Equifax report. And so that's the one that I use. So Equifax, you can pull both and we can discuss both, but I usually go with Borrowwell. And so as we're winding down, I want to leave you with this thought, right? Building wealth is a marathon and not a sprint. Everyone has the capacity to build wealth, but financial discipline is the key ingredient to make that happen. All right. And again, as I mentioned, we weren't not taught this. So I thank you for taking the time and investing in you for this last hour. I hope you found value. I hope you found information that can help you. I'm excited to have a conversation with those who want to schedule a call with me. Again, here's my information. Let's connect. Let's talk. I'm on social. And I think that's it. Is that it? I think that's it. Yeah. Any questions?
Hey, Siobhan, it's Dejana. I just wanted to share one of my experiences because just like you said with the myth, we're told a lot of things. And for me, I had to experience bankruptcy. And it took a while for me to get there, but it was my last resort. However, I learned a few things because usually when you're told about bankruptcy, they tell you like you have to disclose everything and they take everything from you because it's to repair back the credit. So I had my car loan. So that was one of my fears because I was like, I can't lose my car loan. So when I went to do the bankruptcy, they what's the word she used? She did something that she able to save my car loan. And in the end, it ended up helping balance my credit with the bankruptcy. So it ended up, it was a positive benefit for me. Yes. But like I said, the fears are told, oh, you can't do this and they'll take everything from you. So I learned that through my experience. So just in case if anybody has the fear of bankruptcy, and yes, there is life after bankruptcy. So that also, I just wanted to share my experience.
No, for sure. And so bankruptcy, again, is something that you have to apply for. You have to qualify for it, right? So if you make too much money, you may not even be eligible to claim bankruptcy. So yeah, it's an application process that they do a full assessment of all of your assets. And so there is ways that sometimes I've had clients claim bankruptcy and still be able to keep their homes. And that's typically if there isn't a whole lot of equity and so stuff like that. So there is, if you are in a position where that's where you feel that you need to go, then you can have a conversation and find out what your options are. All right. Thank you, Dejana. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Camila. No other questions? All right. Well, if there's no other questions, you're welcome, Cheryl.
I have other questions, Siobhan.
Yes.
But I need a phone call for those questions because my questions will take all night.
Click the link, fill the form. Let's do this.
I have
what link?
I put in the chat. Let me go back. Hold on.
Oh.
There's the link right there, Bina. bit.ly/30-minute credit call. And there's a form for you to complete.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If I may, thank you, Siobhan. It was
Thank
really
you, Ms. Lowe. Yeah.
Really good presentation. Like I said, it just threw everything out of the door that I ever believed that was not true about credit. So with the last slide, one of the concerns I have going forward, because I'm sure like a lot of the other women on the line, we're building credit. It's a season of restoration, ladies. I want to encourage you. I'm so encouraged.
Yeah.
You know, when you talked about the utilization process, right?
Mhm.
And then coupled with having two trades that you referred to, so two credit cards,
Mhm.
and then the amounts between 3 and 5,000,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So essentially, those you're saying that is the like a base or a minimum in terms of criteria to apply for a mortgage,
Yes. Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So is it a good idea then with that last one about not taking credit? Is it a good idea then if you need the cards, the trades to have an acquired amount to ensure then that at least your credit card has those amounts in taking other credit, even though you don't need it?
Absolutely. If you,
Yeah.
it's strict strategy.
Right.
It's a strategy. So definitely, if you need to get to that point to help you position for a mortgage, then yes.
Right.
Yeah.
What about work? I may have missed it. So there was a idea around having at least 2 years of work. Is that true that you have to be in an established job for 2 years? Is that still?
So yes, I didn't touch on that part with respect to qualifying for the income part of it. So there's three components that we have to ensure are secure when applying for a mortgage: your
Yeah.
income, your credit, and your cash, right? So with income, lenders are looking for at least 2 years of in the same industry.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be at the exact same job, but particularly they would prefer in the same industry. Not to say that, if you've changed industry that you can't get a mortgage. It just has to make sense. Everything has to be documented. So let's say if you decided you were going to stop one job and go to school and then you got a job in that industry. As long as we can show the history, right? Because their whole thing is they need security. They need to ensure that you're going to be in a position to pay their mortgage.
Right.
Right? So they ask for 2 to 3 history of what you were doing. So if you had different jobs, 4 or 5 different jobs, you're going to look unstable.
Thank you. Can you give us some ideas around self-employed? Because I'm sure a lot of us here are also, self-employed, having our own business. What should we keep in mind, for those who are owning their own businesses? Because that's also puts a different spin on things.
Absolutely. So with self-employed like myself, banks don't like risk, right? And so as a self-employed person, you don't have a guaranteed income. So they require a lot more documentation, right? If we earn $100,000 in our business, chances are we're not going to declare 100,000 for our taxes, right? So we have to ensure that all of that income that we do make is documented somewhere in form of like bank history, right? You got to show your business bank statement showing history of deposits, right? You got to make sure with respect to credit, they have a higher expectation for self-employed people. So your credit has to it's best if it's 680 and above. Otherwise, we might have to go to alternative lending. But there's other forms in which that you could secure yourself. So showing income, so documenting all of your income, making sure that you're, again, with credit, you want to make sure that you're keeping your balances low. Or the other alternative is declaring your income. So if you make 100,000 and you declare it, then we can use 100,000. But if you make 100,000 and you only declare 20, then it's going to be a little bit difficult.
Okay.
Yeah. Hope that helped.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. And I think I saw some chat. Had I known there were all these black screens here, what about contract jobs? Again, lenders are looking for stability. So contract jobs, if you've been doing it for several years, like for example, teachers, a lot of teachers work on contract. And so because let's say they've been a teacher for 5 years, then at least that looks that they, you know, they'll be working for another, at least another 5 years. There's consistency in their income. Contracts are kind of like self-employed people. So we just have to be able to make sure all the dots are connected. And so with self-employed and contracts, we will have to show like a 2-year average of your income history. And if they feel secure, then we can do that. And so I speak of this through traditional lending, but there's always alternative lending for people who don't have traditional type income.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I don't see the link. Did you put it in the chat or you sent it to me?
I did put in the chat. I'll text it to you.
Okay, please.
I don't
Thanks.
see the link either. It wasn't reflecting on me.
Okay, hold on. I don't know if it's going to be a hyperlink, but bit dot, maybe if I go like this, HTTP. You guys are quiet. What happened?
We're all waiting for the link to set up our meetings.
There you go. I think that worked.
Yeah, that got that.
Thank you.
Let me know if it opened though. I don't know if it's HTTP or HTTPS. Okay. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I had fun, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Siobhan.
I will definitely do this again, but
Yeah.
I'm always open to, it worked perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Jules. I will definitely be doing this again, probably in later spring. Yeah, if you know anyone that is ready for a mortgage, or if you know anyone who needs help with their credit, please share my information. But please connect with me on social media. I would appreciate feedback. I'm open to feedback. It worked. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Pachina. Not a lot of questions. All right. Well, Pachina, you know you got to hook up, neighbor. You got to hook up. All right, ladies. And I think we're all ladies here. So look at that. Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you, Siobhan. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Ramona. All right, guys. Well, you have
Thank
a
you so
great
much.
night.
Great
I will.
night.
This was recorded. I didn't tell you guys that in the beginning.
Okay.
All right. And so I will upload it to my YouTube channel if you'd like to rewatch. But again, I'm available for any questions. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.